Let's go. Game time.
Welcome to the Better Baby Daddy podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, John Lakshman.
I'm your other co-host, Kelly Burgess.
And today, we're going to talk about something deep, something that, both of us have experienced a wide range of, and that's our emotions. And managing those emotions when dealing with the separation from the BM, when dealing with missing events from our kids, dealing with all the emotions that come with being a better baby daddy. Man, it's a lot.
A lot in the basket.
Yeah.
And as you were saying that list, I was thinking about the emotions of dealing with when your kids get to the point where they can really express the impact of split up, or their view of you as a dad, or their regret about not being able to do things with their friends because they're with you, for that weekend or whatever, all those things that you said.
And because there's so many different emotions we experience, we're going to kind of lock in on three specific ones today, and that is guilt, shame, and frustration. And if you're a better baby daddy, or if you're just a baby daddy right now, you know exactly what we're talking about when we talk about guilt, shame, and frustration.
And if you haven't experienced those, just wait.
It's coming.
If you're new, those of you who are new on this journey with us, we're here to support dads who are trying to continually level up their game as single parents, as co-parents, and those three emotions are all along that journey.
Man, are they forever traveling with you? I'm sure there are things that occur with you to this day, even though your children are grown, right? That you're like, oh.
Every day.
Yeah.
But I think we have some good tips to manage that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it doesn't leave.
No, it does not leave. So first off, you're not alone in experiencing guilt, shame, or frustration when it comes to your situation. You're not alone. Every single man that's been in a situation like us has experienced one of those emotions at least once. I don't care who you are or what you've done. You've experienced it, unless you're some kind of psychopath person and it just like, boom.
Yeah. And I would say feeling guilt and shame is indicative that you're human.
Yes.
That you're doing some level of reflection.
Yes.
Still feeling. Like if you're just ice cold, like, hey, your kid, deal with it. Baby mama, deal with it. Yeah, you might need some deeper level stuff than we can provide. The fact that you can look at stuff and say, man, I regret not being able to do that. Or I regret doing that. Or man, I still have guilt about this, even though my child is an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Indicates that, you have a heartbeat and you're warm blooded and you're trying to do better.
If your baby mama hasn't caused you frustration yet,
y'all probably still together. Huh?
Right, like, what you doing? Get back with her. Wasting time and money.
Podcast. Got some flowers.
Like, for real. Yeah, so you're going to miss moments. You're going to feel guilt and shame over missing those moments, 100%. And you're going to get frustrated at the situation and at that person that is your BM. At one point or another, or all the points and all the times.
And the thing is that we laugh about it now because there's times when both of us, have felt just the mention of your baby mama's name caused a lump in your throat or a feeling in your chest, and you can grow through it, right? So we laugh because it's visceral, right? So we talk about anger at the co-parent, it's visceral, whether it was, deserved or not. Yeah. But, the point is that we've experienced those things, and we're right along on the journey with you guys. But let's define those three emotions and talk about some examples.
So that what's it? No, from the Lion King. I got to do this part real quick. I'm sorry, we're gonna get to defining them. But when in the Lion King, when they go, Mufasa, and he goes, and the hyenas go, ooh, Mufasa, and he's like, ooh. It's like your BM, ooh. It's like that's what it's like, and you feel that.
You see it on the caller ID, you're like, oh.
Man, Mufasa calling. All right, let's define now. Here we go. All right, so guilt. Usually we feel guilt over something we've done or something we haven't done.
Yeah.
And when we project guilt, the definition of guilt, onto being a baby daddy, what does that lack of doing something or that misfortune of doing something look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's both things. I think with the lack of doing something is it's missed opportunities. Like if you've missed something that's not going to occur again, maybe it's a birthday party you missed, maybe it's a first, game of the season, some kind of milestone event, it just sits with you. If you're a loving dad, I don't know any way around it. Shame for me is when you know you just done something ratchet, either responded the wrong way, or you stepped out, or you did something to blow the relationship up with the BM, or make it worse, and you haven't owned it. I think shame comes from not owning it. To me, guilt is a natural response. You know, we work around young kids a lot. You know, they do something wrong. The ones with a conscience or the sense of conscience, they feel guilty when they've done something wrong. It's that sense of that inward sense that I've done something wrong, and it kind of spurs you to want to correct it. Shame is, man, I'm still carrying baggage of something I didn't correct and didn't name to me. Because the power is once you name it, like I've gone to my kids and say, hey, as a dad, I blew it here. So there's a feeling of guilt of stuff I missed or things I messed up. But that shame of I gotta hide from it or, that's uncovered.
Yeah.
Two different things, but still powerful emotions that can really affect you.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think the guilt aspect of things differs from shame from the perspective of sometimes the missing of events is out of our control because of the dynamic of our situation. Shame almost, maybe not, but I would say more so than, maybe that's a better way. But shame a lot of times is something that we directly did and we feel shame about that. Like if you feel shame about missing an event that you didn't have control over, you can walk that shame back. You know what? All right. But when you did something that you know you shouldn't have done, that shame is different. And like you said, taking accountability for it, owning it, that helps us get through that. It's the only way to get through it.
It is. It is. It's really, and I think not getting through it, not naming it, leads to some of the downstream effects that we're going to talk about a little bit later in terms of emotional impacts, depression, stuff like that. But it's natural to have those things. I both felt them. We were just talking before we really started filming about, hey, even as older dads, there's times you think back, it's like, I missed that. We watched a football game last night. I was thinking, man, I could have been in the house with all my boys watching the first game of the NFL season. Wow. They're adults.
Yeah.
Like, we should be having hot dogs and chips and talking about jokers spitting on one another, and but they're in different places, So carries, right?
So I last night I experienced a situation too, right? I have both my young ladies. One has an event down in the bottom of Maryland, and the other one has an event at the top of Maryland. So the younger one can't come with me to go see the older one. And I like having them together as much as possible. Yeah. So I'm driving, and I'm literally 5 minutes from the house, but my GPS says I'm still going to be 10 minutes late because of the drive. Yeah. And I look on my email real quick at a red light, and I'm like, oh, her event's canceled. I can go back and get her, and then I can bring her down. And I'm like, if I do that, I'm going to be 20 minutes late. Yeah. And I feel guilty about not going back to get her. But this is what I had to do. Yeah. What I had to do and what I can do. This is the life that I chose because of the decisions I made, and I have to deal with that.
Yeah. And that's a great example. Yeah. It's in real time. You just feel it pulled in both directions. And there's some loss with whatever the choice you make. There's a loss on one end, right?
Right.
There's a victory on one end, but then, hey, you're going to lose 10 extra minutes with your girl or whatever. So it's tough, but it's real life. And I don't think we think about those things on the front end of the relationship's dissolving. And that's why it's important to be able to handle the guilt and the shame.
And a lot of times guilt and shame will also lead directly to frustration. So I become frustrated at myself because of actions that I've done or things that I haven't done. And that frustration can boil into anger. Yeah. Or even stems from anger in some situations, right?
It's all mixed in there, right? Yeah. I think it's also, you can just be frustrated at the complexity of the situation. There's no right or wrong answer about what you're facing. Maybe it's a situation where you got multiple kids doing multiple things, and it's complicated because you got to communicate with all these different parties, and you can't be every place at once. And that frustration of just how complex it is like, I wish it was simpler. And one thing I tell my sons who are a couple of them in relationships, I'm always now about equipping them to be a permanent present dad. And so as single man, I tell them when they see me experience something that's complex, we've been in events where I've had all my exes there and my partner.
Big win.
But they can see, wow, there's a lot going on in this picture. Yeah. And I tell them, I say, keep it simple, boys. Keep it clean.
That's the best way to learn, is to see that.
Just keep it clean and lower the frustration level in your life. Just keep it clean. But sometimes, they got to see it.
Absolutely.
But you're right. The frustration can come from a lot of places, and it could be real or it could be imagined. Yeah. But it's still acting on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best way to navigate guilt, shame, and frustration is to reframe it. And that reframing process can be very difficult. Because if we look at guilt and the reframing of guilt, I'm going to go back to something that we had said about 10 minutes ago, maybe 5 minutes ago, is the fact that we got to look at it. All right, am I in direct control over what happened? Or because of my decisions, is someone else in control? And then if I can separate those two things, I can look at guilt completely differently. So if I'm not in control, can I let go of that guilt? If I am in control, what can I do to allow that guilt to motivate me to make a better decision in the future?
And I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Because what do you do when you're looking at the situation that's causing you frustration or guilt, and you might not have been in direct control of that thing, but because you're in a situation where you're not with the BM and that ultimately fell on you, right? How do you disconnect from, well, I'm in this situation ultimately because of something I did.
Mm.
And so I feel guilty about, I'm even dealing with this because of something I did.
Right.
The guilt about this particular incident today on Saturday afternoon. You know what I mean? How do you not connect, hey, what's happening Saturday afternoon to the whole picture of, I wouldn't even be in a situation had I not done X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying?
Let me think. Let me shoot it back at you so I can answer it properly. Let's say one of my BMs is like, you can't come down today. And I know if I show up, it's going to be an explosion. Right. So I'm not coming down. Whatever it is. And I don't want to put my daughter in that situation. Right. That's what you're saying? So I had, like, my decisions put me in this situation, but I don't have control right now, but I kind of have control like that. Is that?
Yeah, I'm saying, how do you, okay, so you feel guilty about not being able to see your daughter?
Absolutely. Let's say it's let's say it's not a birthday party. That's a little extreme. Let's go July 4th, a random holiday. Okay.
Big grand.
Yeah. You can't come watch fireworks with her. So play that. So ask it from that perspective.
So you can't come down and play fireworks with her for whatever reason. We have other plans, you know. So, you know, you can't come down. So how do you separate the guilt of not being able to come down on that specific holiday from the whole picture of, I'm in this situation because I've something I've done?
Oh, for me, it's extreme accountability. And that's there's a great book by Jocko Willink, a former Navy SEAL, right. And he's all about extreme accountability. His books are designed for the business world, but also the personal, like your personal world. I mean, he just talks about, and you trace it back to a decision you made of it.
Okay.
And yes, like my decision to be with her, right? My decision not to grow as a young man to the point where I could make better decisions, right. Where I can see that this woman may not be in the best interest of me long term. Right. And I'm not talking about anyone specific now. I'm just walking through this, you know. But as a man, you can pinpoint decisions you've made. If you go back far enough, you're like, okay, this was my decision. At this point, I could have went left. I could have went right. Yeah. And I went left. That left led me down a whole different journey with all these other options where I made all these other decisions. Right. But if I would have went right, that would have never happened. Yeah. So I'll always go back and find the point where I made the mistake.
So that's my question is, how do you, so now, okay, so you made a mistake. You made the mistake, the big mistake that, you know, that was the Y in the road and you took the left, right? Yeah. And so how do you not connect the Philly game, Dallas game with all my sons? We got a text about the game. How do I keep that in the compartment of, oh, okay, I'm feeling that thing, but I'm not going to continually beat myself up with the same intensity as, oh, okay, 30 years ago when you blew it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we're trying to compartmentalize the guilt. Yeah. That's just what I'm saying. You know, what do you do to not just get in that tailspin of, oh, what was me? I know, 30 years ago, I never, so I'm not even going to text them about it. You know what I mean? How do you keep out of that dark place?
Well, number one, I think for me is I'm not a victim. I'm a byproduct of decisions I've made and the decisions that I continue to make, or the review and the resetting that I'm doing. So I'm not a victim in any sense of the word. Then it is ownership. That ownership piece, okay, I'll own this for this moment right now. This is on me. Now, what decisions can I make that are going to push me in a different direction?
Beautiful.
And if I can do that part, then I'm good. I know I messed up. I know this is because of me. Right. I know my two girls aren't going to spend this 45 minutes together because of decisions I made. Right. I'm going to own that. Now let's make our next best dad move. And there we go. Like, I can't sit on that because now if I took it all the way down there, then I have a bad time with her. I come back time right before bed with my youngest. We can't do that as men. We're not allowed to do that. So I have to be able to process that. And then the work I do on a daily basis helps me process that, whether it's praying, whether it's meditating, absorb it. Like, what's the, I don't know what that framework necessarily looks like, but it's like naming what's occurring, accepting what's occurring, dealing with it, processing it, and letting it go. And the quicker you can do that, the better you become.
Yeah. You know, when you were saying that, and I'm sorry to get so far afield, you know, we got a lot of stuff to cover, but I think it's helpful for people to hear just what you do, because you are going to have those moments where, hey, the original sin was 15 years ago. And a ripple of that, you're feeling it freshly because you're limited in something you can do, or something's more complicated. And you got to have a mechanism for feeling the feeling and then snapping back to the best dad move.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of last night watching the football game. Like that first game, you realize how quick it is between plays. Like you run a play, it's blown up. You got about 20 seconds to get your cardio together and get your mind clear, and they're running another play. It's a beautiful example of what we got to do. And if we, you know, don't press you about anything else, it's like run the next play, a good play quickly, because you're going to have some bad plays.
I mean, what do they talk about in sports all the time is exactly what you alluded to there is forget the last play, next play. Forget the first half. All right, what were the lessons we can learn from the first half? Now let's move second half. We can't carry the first half to the second half. That has to die at halftime.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And they talk about that really in football when you're a corner, right? Because you could get burned for a 75-yard touchdown. But if you carry that the rest of the game, guess what? You're going to get burned again, and again. You got to come back to your fundamentals. What are those fundamentals? What is that foundation? All right, I get my footwork together, right? All right, I'm going to jam them at the line. Boom, boom, I'm going to do all these different things. And if we apply that same concept to our everyday lives as baby daddies, I messed up right here. Let me get my footwork together. What am I going to fall back upon? Did I build a strong enough foundation after the separation, after I made the mistakes, after I did the stupid stuff I did, that I can fall back to that foundation and I'm able to run the next play effectively and efficiently?
Very good. So that was reframing it, right?
Yeah.
And I love how you know that mental model of, hey, own it, then reset, and then run it up.
And I think as men, what we fall into the trap, maybe we'll name it, and we're like, all right, yeah, that was me. I was stupid. Especially if we're talking to some of our boys, like we'll own that. But what we fail to do is process it, because we're not good processors sometimes. Like, all right.
Like when a dude does do that, and then what do we typically do?
Okay, so when a dude is processing something, you're saying, he's like, all right, I made this mistake. Why did I make that mistake? What are the weaknesses? What are the strengths I have when I was navigating that? Okay, what's the lesson that I can pull from that? That's the processing aspect of things. When I'm not processing that decision, the emotions associated with that decision, I'm just like, yeah, I did something stupid. All right, let's go. No, wait, bro. What happened that led to that decision? What did you experience through that decision? What happened after that decision? Did you like what happened after that decision? That's the processing aspect that sometimes we tend to miss. And when we miss it, we make the same mistake again and again and again.
And that lack of processing happens in the dark. Like if you have a cat that really will pull you out, you know, in the light, and you've given them carte blanche to call you on stuff, you need that to walk through it, because it's easy to sweep things under the rug and then just go to the next warm landing spot, and you haven't learned a lesson. But I ask you that because I'm interested in that, how men process that healthily so they come out the other side more mature. Because I think you're right. It's not something we're naturally good at, or that we want to lean into. It's uncomfortable work.
Humans in general are not that great at processing things, because what happens when we process things, and there's this, I'm going to mess it up a little bit here, but there's Buddhist concept of, when you look at a mirror, you see a reflection. So that's like kind of the naming thing, aspect of the thing. But when the mirror is dirty, we have to clean the mirror off. And sometimes it's so dirty when we're processing and we're cleaning up the mirror, we're getting all that dust stuff. It gets in our eyes, it gets in our throat, and we don't like all that. And we're choking and our eyes are watering. We don't like that processing part, because then we have to relive some of those situations, but it's necessary for the growth that we want to achieve.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah. All right. Moving forward a little bit. All right. I think a lot of times frustration also stems from, shame also stems from, and guilt as well comes from what reality is, and then what we see in social media, what we see on TV. We see all these pictures and these images of these perfect dads, and we're like, how is he doing all of this?
He's not.
Is that a little louder?
He is not.
Even my Instagram, right, as a single dad,
right?
Like, I'm not putting out the argument DM. Like, we're not putting that out there.
It's a facade. And we think, we're thankful for guys who have content that, is positive. It shows
Oh, yeah.
do. But yeah, when it's you in that frustrating situation, that frustrating person, you better have a playbook, and it's personal, right?
Yes.
So how you handle the difficulties with your two baby mamas is maybe difficult and different than I got to handle the situation with my two exes with the current. I was in a situation recently. We were at a family event, and it was both exes and the current all in the same place, and it was an intimate event, like it was an important family event.
Like everyone's talking to everybody.
I think they were talking about some of the interactions there, right? Everybody's there, and I'm calm because I've done a lot of this work that we're talking about.
Yeah,
it's still a tinge of, yeah, that's a lot of drama in this room. People have no idea.
Like everybody walking around like.
I'm sitting there eating, chicken breast with a dude who's with the other side of the family, and I was like, this cat has no idea the backstory of all that's going on here. But but you develop your own game plan,
right?
But that stuff doesn't go on IG. My car being set on blocks because I was jacked up, did something jacked up, and one of the beers was salty. That doesn't go on IG. It's in public, though.
Right.
I'm not posting that. It's my lowest moment is that.
I really messed up this one.
I really messed up today, fellas. Let's see how it happens, what she does when I come out of the house in the front.
Here's my new court documents. You see my child support number right there.
Wow, that's 45% of my takeover.
Today.
I missed my son's football game today because I had to work 4 jobs.
And then my BM texts me a big message about missing it.
Something about being allowed.
Yeah, so it's reality versus IG. It's reality versus any type of social media that we see out there. Like, there are dads, and you're one of them, and I'm going to say I'm one of them as well, that are killing it. But we still have days, we still have moments, B, where it's like, oof.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. Social media is the cover to the book. That's all it is. It's the cover to the book. That's all it is. That's a beautiful cover. But when we open it up, some of the pages are great, and some of them are like.
And we're hoping that y'all read the whole story, and that's why we come to you the way that we do, because there's some heart-wrenching pages and some pages that we don't want you to rewrite in your story. But you need to hear because it maybe helps you calibrate what you got to do. But don't get sucked into even trying to project or feeling like, okay, that's the level I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to this Instagrammable like dad. You can do that next day, but be conscientious about it and reflective about it. And don't worry about how glamorous or how postable it looks. Your kid is not worried about that at all.
Absolutely not.
They're really not. So, but yeah, that can lead to the frustration and the guilt.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. If you spend a lot of time looking at those things and comparing yourself, comparison is a natural thing that we do. Right? You see the guy that pulls up to the red light in the Corvette and you're sitting in your little Dodge or your little Nissan or whatever it may be. You're like, dang, it'd be nice to be driving a Corvette right now. We got to step away from that comparison because, I mean, what's the common saying? Comparison is a thief of joy. It really is. Yeah. It really is. And it'll steal every ounce of joy you got if you let it. All right, so next up, we're going to talk about strategies and tools, but I kind of want to roll those two things into one because I feel like they're going to overlap with some of the reframing we did as well. Cool?
That's cool.
So when we're talking about dealing with frustration, guilt, and shame, we need some tools that help us navigate that field. We've talked about reframing, and that reframing is like looking at it from a different perspective. Can you take ownership of it? Can you walk through it? Can you learn lessons from those situations that you did? Can you do all that? The tools. So if I'm immediately in a situation where the guilt hits me, or where the shame hits me, or the frustration hits me, and the frustration, I would say, can be some of the most dangerous, because if I'm immediately frustrated and that person that's causing the frustrations right in front of me, all types of things can happen to the other person, to yourself. I think you get the idea there.
To the kids.
To the kids, absolutely. Can we reset and pause? But let's reverse that. Can we pause, take a couple deep breaths, reset, maybe remove ourselves completely, or then come back to the situation? Big time. We need to be able to do those things.
Yeah. And that's a high level of emotional maturity right there.
Right.
You almost have to rehearse that before you get into it.
Agreed.
I know I've had to do that when I knew I was going to meet a certain person, it was a exchange or something like that, I would mentally rehearse what I was going to do. And that's the cool thing about, you talked about extreme accountability. The cool thing is that you are always in control of your response to some stimulus.
Yes.
You always have the ability to stop, get yourself together, and then choose a myriad of ways that you want to respond. And that's the key skill. But doing it in real time is the challenge.
Absolutely.
You know, we like to use a football analogy. Hey, these guys been playing against one another in training camp for 5 weeks, and you can only replicate game speed so much. But last night when they started cracking pads and it was real, it was a lot faster and intense than anything they did in training camp. And so being faced with those frustrations and having a game plan and working out in real time, it's going to come at you faster, but rehearse it. You can do it. And you're ultimately in control over how you respond.
Absolutely.
One thing that helped me is to reframe the frustration is what kind of and it seems counterintuitive, is what about this situation can I be thankful about? It helps it from being all negative. Hey, I'm frustrated about, not being able to be two places at one time. Man, Lord, I'm thankful that, hey, my girls are in this and they're in this, and I'm engaged in both groups. The leaders of the extracurricular activity and the leader of the school, they know that I'm involved as a dad. I'm thankful for being in a position like that, even though it's frustrating. Well, that helps me. It's just gratitude about it.
I like that. Yeah. Finding the positive. And then being grateful for what you can be grateful for, even no matter how small it is. Yeah. I like that, B. Yeah, that reset, that pause, finding the gratitude, major things there. And then once you've paused, once you've reset, can you now start at that new baseline that you've just created for yourself? And can I say, all right, my bad. I got a little frustrated. Let's try this again. And if you can do that, all right, great. And guess what? You might be able to do that. The other person may not be able to do that. And then that's when you just remove yourself from the situation completely.
I have to do that. Yeah. And that's another high level.
And that brings us to our next thing. And that's our 3 C's. Control what you can control. And guess what? The only thing you can control is you. That's it. And then communicate what you can't control. That's a big part too, right? So communicating what you can't control. And sometimes that communication is, hey, I'm going to remove myself from this situation. That's it.
I heard somebody in a work situation when they were talking about dealing with an irate customer or irate colleague on the phone.
Yeah.
They said, I'm going to professionally hang up on you.
Communicating what you can control. So we're going to control ourselves as best as possible. And that control of yourself is always going to fall back to that foundation you've built. You're going to fall back when you're fatigued, when you're tired, when you're angry, to that foundation. So what foundation have you built? And that's why we've talked so much about having a strong peer group, having something that's that rock for you, whatever form of spirituality that is for you, but having those things, because those are going to be your foundation. Yeah. So control, communicate what we cannot. And then I forgot the other C. So I'm going to look at my phone and we're going to keep it rolling. And then we're going to commit.
I said, if he pulls that third C, he's easy to beat.
We're going to commit to being a better person. We're going to commit to showing back up if it's shame or guilt or that we're experiencing to the next situation, if it's possible. So let's run these three C's through shame, guilt, and through frustration, right? So if we are dealing with guilt, our first C is I'm feeling guilty about not attending. Let's do the football game again. My son's first football game. Did I have control? Let's say in this situation,
I had to work.
And I literally had to work because I have 2 jobs because I'm paying child support. So yes, I had control if I go all the way back to that Y in the. So I can go back to there and say, all right, so I own the guilt. Did I have control? Yes and no. So that's a tough one. That's a really difficult one. I had control of my initial decision. And because I didn't control that, I didn't have control here. So I can reframe that there. Can I communicate the fact that I didn't have control to my son? Because you can talk to your BM about it if you want to, but the most important thing is to talk to your child about that. And one of the great things that I've learned from you is your ability to do that, to go back and say, you know what, I'm going to have this conversation about my past decisions that have impacted us today. So then I can communicate that to my son. Listen, Dad made some really bad decisions in the past. And those bad decisions that I made 10 years ago are impacting you right now. And that's why I wasn't at the game. He can accept it. He cannot accept that. But at least you're communicating that to him. Because in the moment, it might be difficult. But maybe 2 years from now, 3 years from now, he's like, yo, my dad always took accountability. He said, he wasn't there because of him, not because of me. It was because of decisions he made. So I've communicated that to him. And then I can say, your next game, I'm going to be there. So now, what do you have to do to make sure you can follow through on that commitment? Is it picking up a double shift so I can have off the next Friday night lights? That's the commitment process.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's a great framework because it's doable. It's simple and it keeps you from spiraling into the shame.
Yeah.
Which is, I haven't handled it.
Yeah.
Still carrying the baggage of it. Right. Or I haven't contained it in a healthy way. But I love that, man.
You want to walk us through the 3 C's with shame? How does that look?
So shame is, what can you control? You can control your recognition of it and then get to a point where you name what's causing you the shame. Once you can name it and take responsibility for the thing that's causing it, that's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
What you can't control or communicate about what you can't control. I don't know, it's a tough one on the spot. I would say you can't control when it's going to pop up again, I
think, not to step on your toes here,
well.
that communication of the shame, maybe it's talking to somebody about it.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's me talking to you like, yo, bro, I feel really bad about missing that game. Like, guilt is, I feel like a bad dad.
Yeah. That's true. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. You can journal.
Yes.
Get it out, right?
Yeah.
But the point is you're not keeping it inside. And then you can commit to changing something in a small way to counteract what is causing the shame. So if, my example with my kids, if I have shame about how I handled some of the pressures of being a dad and a husband in an unhealthy way, stepping out or doing different things, what I can do is insulate my kids, almost give them a vaccine against that. Hey guys, hey, listen, in this calm moment, maybe things that's come out of left field, I felt compelled to share this with you, during this season of time, it's easy to get off your game or easy to drift. Hey, these few things help you stay locked in as a man and not get pulled aside by, bad relationships or unhealthy relationships. So that's committing to make sure my next generation, my lineage doesn't have to learn the same lessons with the same intensity as I did.
Right. I love that, man. That's good stuff right there. And then when we were talking about the 3 C's in regards to frustration, we kind of covered that a little bit with dealing with frustration when we had that example of the interaction with the BM. But it's the sense, so I'm going to go through that a little faster here. And that's number 1, can I control her? Nope. Can I control me? Yep. So maybe I need to step away. Maybe I need to take some deep breaths. Maybe it's me being an idiot right now in this moment. So I need to reset there. Can I communicate to her? Okay, listen, my bad. Or can I communicate to her, listen, I don't like how this is going, without implicitly blaming her. So I'm going to step away.
One thing there, you're saying, let me just wanted to inject to say, ask questions.
Yes.
Hey, hear you correctly, or am I coming across this way? And the questions de-escalates because they make people access a different part of their brain.
Yeah.
And they keep them out of that fight or flight. It's like, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Let me restate what I heard you say. Did I hear this correctly? That's one thing with the communication that might help also.
That's beautiful. That is perfect. Thank you for interjecting there. I would have definitely kept on rolling. And then can I commit after that frustration to being a better person? Can I say, if I run through it just like this, all right, I don't like the way this is going. I'm going to ask you a couple questions about that. And if it still continues, then can I remove myself? And then can I commit to say, hey, I'm going to come back to this. I would like for us to come back to this. Maybe after we have some time to process what just happened right now. Maybe you had a rough day. Maybe I had a rough day. And it's coming out right now in this conversation because this is an intense conversation. But here's the big thing with that, right? When I decide to have that next conversation, I really need to think through what led to us being frustrated there. Because it could be a multitude of variables. It could be the fact that it was, 9 o'clock at night and we're both tired. And that's all it was. And because we were both tired, we both got frustrated really quickly. So let's have the conversation at noon on Saturday. So we have to really diagnose the variables that led to that frustration, that anger, so we can really get through what most likely is a very important conversation.
Right.
Yeah. So tools, reset, pause, 3 C's. What can you control? What can you not control? Communicate what you cannot control effectively and efficiently, and then commit to being better or commit to coming back to the situation.
I love what you said because you don't want to leave it hanging with the ladies.
No, not at all.
Open end, that doesn't work. So I love that. Hey, I need to step back. I'm gonna get back to you in 24 hours. Is that good? I need some time. And hopefully you got a partner that understands that, a co-parent that understands that. But that's a beautiful framework, man.
You know what? I thought we were going to need multiple episodes or filming sessions to get through this one.
Covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
But that last point there on the board is what we do here.
Yeah.
Get an accountability buddy.
Man, I'm telling you.
You know, particularly with because when you were talking about that, the guilt kind of hangs around like weather. The shame can kind of hang around like weather. The frustration is like the everyday.
Little jabs.
But you're gonna feel those on a more consistent frequency.
Yeah.
So having the tools for handling frustration and accountability buddy is gold.
Yeah.
Because something pops off. Hey, you text your man, or hey, can I grab some coffee with you? Or hey, did I tell you what happened? And you just offload that, and then you kind of already starting the healing already.
Yes, yes.
So that last point of just having some dude or a dude who can rock that journey with you when the frustrating things come up is really.
Agreed, man. 100%.
Yeah. I thought we were going to need 2 episodes too, man, but
Well, I thought we were going to need 2 episodes from a multitude of samples. I thought we'd be a little rusty, and it would just not flow well. We
back at 6.
Man, we back on the bike.
like JD5 says, we got a lot of banked reps.
All right. Gonna wrap it up, man? All right. How do we wrap it up? I forgot how
we say we say is thanks for listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
And then we say, don't be bitter.
Be better.
Be better. And until next time, this is Kelly.
And I'm John. Peace.